Mark Twitchell is a Canadian man who was convicted of first-degree murder in 2011. Mark was completely obsessed with a Showtime program called Dexter, a show featuring a serial killer working as a forensic blood splatter analyst. Dexter only killed other serial killers, much like himself. Mark, to say the least, was completely infatuated with the character. Mark would later claim his admiration for the character, Dexter Morgan, was what led him to commit his gruesome crimes. In 2008, Mark created a fake dating profile on a website called Plenty of Fish. He would begin talking to a 38-year-old man named John Bryan, trying to convince the man to meet up with him in person. Eventually, John agreed to meet Mark, but this would soon turn to be a grim mistake. Twitchell eventually lured John into his garage, where he would mercilessly kill and dismember Mark. John Bryan's friends and family would soon become worried about John, as none of them had heard from him in some time. Eventually, his friends broke into his apartment to find everything still in place, with dirty dishes indicating that nobody had been there in some time. His friends and family proceeded to contact the police, and a possible homicide case was soon on its way. Twitchell was arrested on October 31st, 2008, and charged with first-degree murder. One of the key pieces of evidence which led to Twitchell's convictions was a document entitled SK Confessions, which stands for Serial Killer Confessions. The document began with the following passage. This story is based on true events. The names and events were altered slightly to protect the guilty. This is the story of my progression into becoming a serial killer. Mark Twitchell was sentenced to 25 years to life and is still currently alive. In 2013, Mark purchased a TV for his cell and is currently caught up with all the episodes of Dexter he has previously missed. Jett Jacobs was a 67-year-old Australian woman who, like many people, was searching for the love of her life. She began to frequent multiple dating websites and soon began chatting with a 28-year-old Nigerian man named Jesse Orowo. She eventually started sending money and gifts to Jess, soon totaling to an estimated $200,000 worth to her long-distance lover. After 2 years, she eventually took a trip to visit Jesse in Johannesburg. The trip was everything Jett hoped it would be, and vowed to come back to see Jesse very soon. She kept her word, taking a second trip to Johannesburg. This time, she would unfortunately not return home. Jett Jacobs was found dead in a rented villa with her money, jewelry, laptop, and other personal items missing. It had turned out that the man she was talking to, who she believed to be Jesse Orowo, was an alias the man used. He is believed to have at least 32 dating profiles where he tricks women into sending him money. He only had a brief conversation with Johannesburg police before he was released and disappeared. His current whereabouts are still unknown, but it is believed that he may very well be still at large, tricking women into sending him money. Sharon Siemens was a 29-year-old single mother living in Australia, where she began her online relationship with Jason Dinsley on a website called Plenty of Fish. After a while of back and forth messages, Sharon agreed to meet Dinsley in a public area. She ended up extremely disappointed with their date. During her time with Jason, she was so uninterested she had even texted her friend to call her to pretend there was an emergency with her son so she could end the date. She would later go on to tell her friends how Dinsley was in dirty clothes and just looked filthy, admitting she was embarrassed to even be seen with the man. What Sharon did not know was that Jason Dinsley had over 100 criminal convictions, including burglary, drug offenses, and rape. Sharon never contacted Jason again. Late in the night of April 6th, Dinsley was out going for a walk after having an anxiety attack when he recognized Sharon's house. Seeing it filled him with rage. He started thinking about all the years of being rejected by women and was overwhelmed with the urge to kill her. He quickly ran home and grabbed a cricket bat, returning to Sharon's house and proceeded to break in. Dinsley crawled through one of the windows where Sharon was and began to beat her with a cricket bat. Eventually, Jason let Sharon get to her feet and told her to stop screaming, then led her to the master bedroom where she begged him to let her go to her son's room to calm him down. Dinsley allowed her to do so. After a little while, Sharon came out of the room and proceeded to the master bedroom with Jason, where he attempted to abuse her. After a while, Dinsley began to beat Sharon to death with a bat and later telling police he had no idea how many times he had struck her, it feeling as though he had never stopped. Jason eventually left the home, causing no physical harm to Sharon's son. The following morning, Sharon's friends stopped by the house to find Sharon's son sitting in the kitchen. When her friend asked where his mom was, he responded saying, "Mummy's up there. A big man came last night and bashed Mummy with a baseball bat. Mummy won't wake up and give me any breakfast." Jason Dinsley pled guilty to the murder and was sentenced to life in prison. Mina El Hari was a 25-year-old woman from France who had been chatting with a man who lived in Fez, Morocco. The two had been using a dating site where they first came into contact with one another, immediately hitting it off. The only problem was the distance between the two was great, but Mina eventually booked a ticket to Fez to meet her lover. After arriving, she made her way to her 5-star hotel and began getting ready for their date. She took a cab to the man's house, where the two sat down for dinner and, at first, the dinner went exceptionally well, until things took an unexpected twist. Out of nowhere, Mina collapsed at the dinner table. Completely passed out, the man was horrified and came to the conclusion that the woman was dead. He, in turn, would make a very drastic decision. He decided to bury Mina's body in his backyard, in fear someone would think he had killed her. Unfortunately, the man was wrong. Mina wasn't dead. She simply was a diabetic and was in a diabetic coma when the man buried her alive. Her family began to grow very concerned after not hearing from Mina after her arrival in Fez. They soon all travelled to Fez, where they contacted the police, who soon began their investigation. The police interviewed the man and raided his house, where they found Mina's grave. He eventually caved, spilling to the police what happened that night. The autopsy report showed that she did not die at dinner, but died after being buried alive. The man, whose identity has not been released to the public, was convicted to involuntary manslaughter. He still claims he did not see her breathe as he slowly poured dirt on her still conscious face.